Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Quito titled I'm Fine. And if we switch over to here, I think it's Quito, a Quito, could be Quito, I'm pretty sure it's Quito, titled I'm Fine, the official music video on YouTube, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, what have we got?
Crying every weekend, don't know what I'm thinking. Shouldn't drown my thoughts drinking, slowly blinking. Always sinking into my bed shrinking. Never leaving, guess these thoughts gonna stay clinging. Been doing this since I was 7, no 11. Never ending session, didn't listen. The voices in my head giving me tension.
Fantastic layering.
I might not go to heaven, my confession. Sad expression, no progression. I think I'm stuck with this depression. Nothing goes right in my mind, but hey, I'm still living alright. May have bad
good use of dynamic range as well.
A voice telling me I should wanna die and be another person who's taking their life. Not going down this road tonight. I'm fine. I'm fine. At least
it's like the little things, right? I mean, clearly the visual experience is very sort of like on the nose and you immediately sort of understand what's going on just from hearing the story and sort of tying those two together. But it's also the varying little expressions from the vocalists themselves, and it's also mixed in with that theme. It's really sort of intriguing.
At least that's what I tell myself. Every day is an internal battle and a cry for help. Feeling overwhelmed, is this happening to anyone else? Perhaps you understand the things I felt, want this to be dealt with, but oh well. Living with constant disdain is like seeing a screen end game. No one to blame but my mental state, igniting the flame to my eternal pain. Always ashamed. Growing up I didn't know this is how I became. Nothing goes right in my mind, but hey, I'm still living alright. May have bad nights and sad times. A voice telling me I should wanna die and be another person who's taking their life. Not going down this road tonight.
Interesting treatment on the vocals here.
Going deeper down the path of self-hate. Always staying up late, complaining about my body weight. I'ma give it to you straight, I'm not feeling so great. Might spiral down at this rate, why is this my fate?
Can anyone else relate to going further into darkness that we have created? It's too late, we've already taken the bait. Put a mask over my head and smile again. This is the only way I know how to do this, friend. Continue living life until it says the end. Before that, pretend to live life like you're happy then. Maybe someday we'll leave our den.
Nothing goes right in my mind, but hey, I'm still living alright. May have bad nights and sad times. A voice telling me I should wanna die and be another person who's taking their life. Not going down this road tonight. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Interesting transition there with the keys. There's an interesting tone to those. It's kind of like a fuzzy kind of sound. You know what I mean? I do like this track. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Quito titled I'm Fine. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. What I think this track is about. I think it's about someone who is sort of coping with the situation they're in their life. They're suffering from mental health issues with their depression, suicidal tendencies, really, really intensely heavy stuff. This is not a track that I think is necessarily going to affect everyone equally. There'll be some people who can relate to the tale and they'll take it potentially more sort of intensely than others, although I would hope that the overall message of trying to get through it regardless of these voices and everything like that, you know, even though we're struggling on a nightly basis to kind of get through it and come to the dawn of the new day, I feel like there is a message kind of getting people to sort of continue to pull through it, and I feel that that's important. At the same time, I appreciate that it's so straightforward and it's not trying to sort of like sugarcoat it, you know, unnecessarily in a way that sort of makes it all cutesy, because it's just not. I think that the vocal performance here was great. It was solid. We had solid technique with our hidden chest voice there, comfortable between notes, but a legato there. We had some interesting tuning in our voice there where the notes came through very sort of like neatly from one to the other, very smoothly there. And I feel like stylistically modern, production wise, I think it makes sense. It suits a lot of those kind of synth and key layers in the background of the piece. And again, it just sounds tight harmonically and melodically. I feel like the actual flow, the rapping in those verse sections, with the changes in the length of some of the lines and the different sort of like stanzas, the unpredictable flow of that was kind of cool in regards to the groove. The drums, the bass, and a lot of the other elements we used to follow along to, but the vocals, they kind of followed more the extent of the sentence that they were trying to communicate and allowed that to dictate the movement of it. And I feel that was kind of cool. I also appreciate the clean melodies and harmonies we had in those chorus sections, and like the fact that we sort of layered the sort of double takes and additional kind of parts on the sides there, especially near the end. We developed it further and went up an octave or like a fifth or something like that, and it was really kind of pretty. And it was just a nice bit of natural development within the piece. I mean, like, there was this sort of like lo-fi atmosphere to the track itself outside of the vocals. At 3 minutes, there was absolutely no filler within it. It was incredibly well structured. You know, we were straight to the point. We cut to the chase with having the vocals at the start. Then we had the like lo-fi guitar with the extended chords there, the interesting sort of like minor and major sevenths and stuff, moving between those in a way that was very sort of like low-key, kind of like somber and moody without being too much. And then we had the drums come in to sort of pick up a pace sense of groove there with the various kick and snare patterns. A lot of the focus was in the cymbals and the hi-hats for like a sort of a swing, a 16th note kind of shuffle there, which added a sense of kind of bounciness to it in a weird way, a bit of extra energy that I feel is important in a song like this because of the subject matter, for it to not sort of feel like it's lumbering along. And I think that the variety of different percussive grooves and patterns combined with the parts where we didn't have it, little breaks and stops in there compositionally, structurally, were really strong. It just made it more interesting. I think the ideas with the guitar parts sort of like continued throughout, that the piano in a similar part of the frequency spectrum, correlating with that, adding more color in the right hand, arpeggiating certain notes and playing melodies to sort of fade us out there. Again, it was really kind of pretty sounding. I mean, like the bass line underneath that was a lot more active than what I was expecting. I appreciate the fact that we didn't just play whole notes and legatos the entire time. We mixed up some 8th and 16th grooves to have a similar sense of phrasing to what the kit was doing. So there was a nice bit of connection there between those elements. And there were these kind of really sort of like starry, kind of warm, kind of cozy synth pads and leads that weren't too dominant. They were like sub-layers on the sides or in the center, which they never tried to overwhelm the vocals, but they just added a bit of extra kind of flavor and spice to the piece. A really pleasant kind of reinforcement of some of the major tendency of the track. We never got too much into the minors with this song, despite the subject matter. I think instrumentally, this was a track where we're really trying to sort of encourage the end goal of us, even though we're struggling with these mental health issues and wanted to do the stuff, that we would eventually find a way out. The music was trying to give us hope for that through the use of its chord progressions, its various sort of actual instruments and the way they sounded, and that and deliberately avoiding sort of harsh textures or uncomfortable like mix-ups and riffs and stuff like that to kind of keep things fresh. I just think also some of the like the synthy kind of vocoder layers that we had near the end, which were technically, I suppose, a vocal layer, but like fused in there, were just really classy. It's just, there's dynamic range to this piece. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, and that's not just a post-production thing. That's also a compositional thing. We just had a natural understanding of how to kind of bring things up and down and kind of move like that through the piece in a way where we didn't need an alternate solo section. We had the vocals as the focal point throughout the majority of this. Some transitions, mind you. There was one point where I think in the middle we just instantly went to like a bright section with the vocals on the sides kind of coming backwards and forwards. I feel like that might have been a little bit too sudden for my taste in terms of section transfers, but everything else was really, really well done. And I think that thematically, as I mentioned, with the major and minor key leanings, with the complexity of the extensions within those harmonies, combined with the bounciness of some of those swing 16th rhythms on the drums with the chord note accents pushing us forward, and just the way that the music sounds is almost sort of like continue living life until it says the end. I can see the video here. You know, like wanting to eventually leave our den, a voice telling us that, you know, ignoring that voice that tells us we want to sort of like, you know, end things. It's just a matter of the music kind of encouraging us to get past that. And I appreciate that. Again, I think that people will hear this and find inspiration and hope with that. At least I hope so. I really don't think you could have done this in any other way, especially within this genre. So I feel it's very strong. The studio production, recording, mixing, and mastering was tight. I think that in general, the way the vocals were leveled with the guitar parts, the bass, the synths, the keys, and all that, and the drums, they were all nicely niched within the frequency spectrum and in the stereo field there. You could hear everything clearly within the mix. Some parts were kind of intense in regards to how the limiter was being pushed, but I still feel like you could hear them clearly. The way that, things, again, like stuff was, there wasn't necessarily automation, but there was definitely filtering of certain elements to kind of make them sort of like, and there was tuning on the vocals as well, like in certain elements there to kind of smooth them over, make them more sort of like, I suppose like kind of poppy sounding. But even though the limiter was kind of pushed, things were glued neatly and it was nice and loud. It was where it needed to be. It wasn't over limited, don't get me wrong. It wasn't too pushed. It's just a really solid first impression of Quito's work. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly for the third time, I think. And thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Quito titled I'm Fine. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and YouTube page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.